Welcome to Show Me Something Wrong,
where each episode one of us chooses a movie to watch that the other hasn't seen. The movie is usually odd, often obscure, usually odd, and always wrong. I'm Dave.
And I'm Guy.
And this time, I've chosen the movie, and it is Soft Skin from 1998, directed by Hisayasu Sato.
Hey.
And this is the first episode of 2024. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for bearing with us. I wonder how many returning listeners we have.
Oh, yeah.
When did we start 2022? Was that when we started this?
I can't remember.
Sometime.
I think it was that. Yeah.
I'm going to say
I thought you meant, I wonder how many listeners we've lost since our last episode about Dog and Art.
Oh, yeah, that's another point. They probably, increased gradually throughout, from 2022 to 2023, and then they dropped rapidly after our previous episode.
Or went up. You never know.
You sick fucks.
I have that only for us recording this today. That came out yesterday. I've already got a few messages from people gagging to see Dog and Art.
A few dog lovers or aren't lovers. No judgment.
Yeah,
a little bit of judgment.
A little bit of judgment. All right. Yes. So today we're talking about Soft Skin. The Japanese title, Yawa Hada.
Ooh, sexy.
And this is our, this is our first returnee director.
Oh.
Talking about Dog and Art, our first bestiality-themed film, NEIGH MEANS YES, directed by Sato, way back. I think that's like episode 4.
That's an early one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very early one. So yeah, welcome back,
Sato. Leave it up to Sato to make 2 appearances.
I've been wanting to do another one of his for quite a while, and yeah, I chose this one because it is one of my favorites, but also because I think it's something that really stands out in his filmography. It's quite different from his other work. But I know that you have been watching a lot of Sato recently, for reasons we'll find out maybe next week.
Okay.
But tell us, what have you been watching? What have you enjoyed from Sato
Let me check the old letterbox. Because I'll tell you what, I'm terrible at writing reviews. I don't write any reviews, and I've spent despite being a letterbox user, a letterbox man for a few years, I can't stand logging my thoughts because they always come out as fucking gibberish, and I'm always like, I don't know what the fuck I'm writing or talking about, and I still don't know. I'm terrible with leaving my thoughts or putting my thoughts into words. I'm not the best person who should be doing a podcast,
No, you're good at putting it in verbally, at least.
Verbally, not into writing. And when I have tried, I'm just like, nope. Don't know what the fuck I'm trying to write here. So anyway, I've not written any reviews for a long time. The thing is with Sato films, and we spoke about it previously in the past, the films always get their alternative title. They have their main title, or the re-release title, or the Sato's preference title, and then you have the title that was added for the Pink Cinema release. And they're always so similarly named. Like OL... Big tits, rape, victim, thrusting penis. It's something like that, right?
You should be the guy that names pink films. That was very good.
So because all of these titles are so similarly named, I was like, I need to just start writing down a few notes so I can at least differentiate them or remember them in my own mind. So I've rewatched a few films. First one to kick it off was Pleasure Kill.
Great film.
Which I fucking love.
That's like the original version of Naked Blood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is... I don't know if I'd say it's better, but I think it's a better representation of what Sato is like as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Just grim. It's very dirty, dirty feel to it. But, I do love Naked Blood as well. I rewatched that as well. I love how Naked Blood has, Sado Abe in it. He's great in that. And, of course, Yumika, she's great in it. The original. Rest in peace.
Love Yumika.
Pleasure Kill doesn't have those people, so, there are a few things that I feel lacking if I am comparing it to Naked Blood. But it is, yeah, like you said, a much better representation of Sato's work. I also watched Office Lady Rape Disgrace.
That's a very early one, right? That's like mid-80s. I really love that film because I think, I don't know if you noticed watching it, his mid-80s stuff is very different to his 90s stuff. It's much more like punk in the aesthetic, and it's got, not that film, but some of them are a bit funnier as well. They're a bit more slapsticky.
Right.
Yeah, I really love that film, though. That's great.
This was great. This was a very kind of like, I don't know, solemn, sad tale. Not so like in your face, blood, guts, and rape. It was, you know, it had a sadness to it, which I liked. Did that. What else did I do? Celluloid Nightmares.
That's my personal favorite. I love that film.
That's a very kind of Peeping Tom-esque movie.
Yeah. I feel like with that one, for me, that's the one where it's like, if you want to understand who Sato is, that's the one to watch. Because it's got everything that he obsesses over in that one film.
Right.
Oh, I fucking love that film so much.
That was great. This fucking title. Pleasure Masturbation New Wife Version.
Fucking love that film as well. That's in my top 10.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I really love that one.
Interesting, yeah. Oh, and a new film of his, Hanadama.
Yeah, that's an interesting film.
Which, like, I really enjoyed as a human drama, and then all of a sudden, a lady sprouts a flower from her head and gains, like, psychic powers after 80 fucking minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. But Kei Fujiwara in that was absolutely incredible. I've not seen a film of his that I have disliked so far. I know they're not all great, but from what I've seen so far, they're all pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I've seen everything that you can see by him that's available, as far as I know. Although we might be seeing a few more soon.
Shit,
I don't want to reveal too much.
I feel like we've already revealed too much.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week, maybe. But the only one of his that I properly don't like is... Oh, my brain's going blank. I think it's called Shisei... The Tattooist? Is that the name?
Something like that.
Let me just double check. Yeah, Shisei the Tattooer from 2006. It's the only one of his films that, I don't know, I just found it really pretentious. And some of his films do get a little pretentious, but the good always outweighs the bad. That one, not so much.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Check it out and see what you think.
I probably won't. You know, because there's so many films
so many other ones,
that I want to see that I've heard from so many people are amazing.
Yeah.
That I've not managed to see yet. So I will prioritize the good ones. Before the pretentious nonsense ones. And obviously, the old films, you know, are his heyday. If we go back to the 80s, 90s, that's when Sato was fucking Sato.
Definitely. And yeah, there's so much to watch. Like, there's like 70 films or something that he's made, I think, something like that.
Before we get into the actual film of today, I've not seen any of his gay pinkus, which I've heard are very good.
There are some fantastic ones. I nearly chose one of his gay pinkus to do instead of Soft Skin today, but I decided to go for this one just because it is so dramatically different from his heyday, which you mentioned. So yeah, his heyday is like the early to mid 90s, kind of his best work, and he just made so much stuff back then. But this is from much later. This is his 50th film that he's made, and it's from 1998.
Right.
So I remember when I first saw this, I kind of went into it with a bit of trepidation because I'm like, it's past his heyday. I don't love a lot of his stuff from after that period, but it ended up being one of my favorites of his films. So, Soft Skin, last time we talked about whether it was a pink film or not, very briefly. Because you were like, is it a pink film? I'm like, it's not a pink film, but it kind of is and it kind of isn't.
Right.
So, let's get into that first, maybe, for this film. And it's very fucking complicated.
All right, I'll just lean back and let you talk to me.
Yeah, this is going to be quite a tangent. I'll try to keep it as tight as I can. So, this film is a co-production between Kokue and Shintoho.
Right.
Both pink companies. Very prolific pink companies. And both companies that Sato worked with many, many times. So Kokue is one of the earliest pink studios and produced a lot of well-known pink films, especially in the 60s, and still apparently operates today.
Huh.
I don't really know what they're putting out today, but they still exist as a company. And Shin Toho is a very fucking weird story unto itself that I thought might be worth talking about how they came about.
Okay.
Do you know much about Shin Toho?
No, anything about
this
them.
is a mind fuck.
Right.
Or at least I found this a mind fuck. And I want to give a big thanks to friend of the pod, Alex.
Hey.
Who essentially just broke this all down for me and answered all my dumb questions about this. All right, so let's go right back to the start. So Shin Toho, obviously the name translates to, the Shin is new, and Toho is Toho, the very, very famous, iconic film studio. So let's go back to post-war Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Back in the 40s, obviously a very economically difficult time for Japan. And at that time, there were the three major Japanese film companies. So you had Toho, you had Shochiku, and you had Daiei. They all unionized. Unionized. So weird. That sounds wrong. They all unionized. And they began striking because it was such a difficult time, right? The Toho strikes, in particular, became very fucking intense.
Right.
And there were three big, massive main strikes that made up this period. I found this really hard to wrap my head around because it still doesn't quite make sense to me. But sometime after the second strike that was happening in 1946, the anti-communist and strike opposers that were part of Toho were rewarded by Toho with their own offshoot company,
right,
which was Shin Toho,
right.
So they were like, "You guys are good boys. here's your own company." Wow, it's baffling, right? That's what I that was the part that I struggled with the most, and I had to ask Alex about that like about 10 times to clarify it. So then, after they were given this company, there was one more strike in 1948, and this lasted for months. And finally ended when the US Army showed up to the Toho studio gates, the barricaded gates, with tanks and military police. So that's what brought it to a close.
The US Army turned up
at Toho.
At the movie company.
Toho to stop the strikes.
What the fuck?
I know, it's fucking crazy. So after this, all the communist sympathizers and the strike leaders were fired from Toho.
Oh, shit.
And Shin Toho, the new company that was formed from anti-strikers, at this time, they relied really heavily on Toho for distribution and exhibition. But in 1950, they became an independent company, independent from Toho. And ironically, many of the leftist ex-Toho employees came to work for Shin Toho, which started as like this anti-communist, anti-strike company. Pretty fucking crazy, right? So then in the first half of the 50s, Shin Toho was producing a lot of like left-leaning productions because they'd taken in all these like communist sympathizers. But I guess people were not that interested in the left-leaning stuff. So the company quickly moved out into exploitation and
getting a bit more like it.
Made a lot of ghost films.
Oh, spooky ghosts.
So, for example, Black Cat Mansion, great film, and The Ghost of Yotsuya, both by Nobuo Nakagawa. And they made nationalistic war films and early Pearl Diver films as well.
Ama-san.
So this went well for a time, but ultimately the company went bankrupt in 1961. And their last production was the 1960 film Jigoku, which is also by Nakagawa. So the reason why it went bankrupt is not exactly clear, but it's probably very much connected to television appearing, which saw a huge drop in cinema goers. So we've had these, we're at the next stage now. So the company's gone bankrupt. Shin Toho's fucking done. But after the bankruptcy, two new companies were formed in its place. So we've got the company splitting into two. We've got Okura Eiga, which would soon become OP Eiga. Oh, you know OP Eiga, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that they partnered with 5 other pink production companies to make OP Eiga. And that was formed by Shin Toho's former president Mitsuru Okura. So that was one. We have Okura Eiga, which would become OP Eiga, and Shin-Toho Eiga, which was formed by Koichi Goto, who was a Shin-Toho employee in Kansai. He worked at the Kansai office in Osaka, and he bought the rights to the name of the company. So I think the OP Eiga guy maybe got the facilities, and the Shin-Toho Eiga guy just got the name, basically. Right. So both of these, like, had split off into two, and both of them started making pink films.
Okay.
The reason why that pink films became so big in the 60s is also kind of a mindfuck. So, we haven't explained what a pink film is, but we did do that back in episode 4, right? We can assume that people know what pink films are.
Sexy films, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, they're films that played in theaters that, for pink films, for sexy films, they're all about an hour long and have a certain amount of sex scenes in them. Just as a quick nutshell version of what they are.
Most of the time, not real, but occasionally.
Every now and then. Yeah. You never know. So if you want to...
Sometimes they have dogs.
Yeah.
Sometimes not.
Let's not talk about Dog and Art again. If you want a more detailed explanation of what a pink film is, go back to episode 4, to NEIGH MEANS YES. But anyway, so both these companies made pink films, and the reason why they moved into pink films. So Japanese film productions peaked in 1960 with 547 films produced domestically. Wow. But at this time, TV came out, right? So there was a big drop in audience numbers, and productions also dropped at this time. So everything was dropped by about 35%.
Right.
But the number of screens, like the cinemas, only dropped by about 10%.
Right.
So there was this desperate need for films.
Right.
They were undersupplied because they had all these screens that got nothing to do with them. So this was the environment that kind of, the pink film started to flourish in this environment, which is pretty nuts. The first year for pink films was 1962, with only about 3 pink films getting made. But because they were so easy to make, it was like a fast turnover, low budget. By 1965, pink films made up about 213 films of like the domestic film output in that year. Isn't that fucking nuts?
Insane.
That's crazy. And I think they were also quite popular because you couldn't see these on TV, obviously. Like, this could not be screened on TV. So that is why Shin-Toho, this splitting off from this company before, that's why they started focusing on pink films. And I think they still exist today, still occasionally pumping out a dirty pink film. So that was quite a long tangent to go on, but basically the message is there. So this film, Soft Skin, is a film that is spawned from 2 pink production companies.
Okay.
It's directed by an infamous pink director, Sato, and it stars many, many pink and pink adjacent actors as well. So with all those things considered, it would make sense that we would call this a pink film, right?
Yes.
But it gets more complicated.
Okay.
So even though it's got all those things produced by pink companies, this was screened in both pink cinemas and mainstream cinemas. Came out in both. And it also has a lot of attributes that don't really match up with a typical pink film. So for one, a typical pink film is about an hour.
Yeah.
This is 80-something minutes, so it's a bit longer. There's sex in this, but it's not relentless, right? It's not really the focus of the film, and it takes a pretty long time before we even get a sex scene, which is not how pink films work. It's kind of like every 10 minutes or whatever, here
Normally, the opening credits are rolled on top of an opening.
Yeah, exactly. So it isn't really the focus. And also, this film, it's graphic, but I would say it's no more graphic than a kind of racy mainstream film, right?
Yeah.
Bit of eyeball licking, but nothing too crazy. So if I had to define what this is, I would say it kind of lives in this weird space between pink and mainstream.
Sure.
And I noticed a lot of the Japanese reviews I read of this had that kind of problem with it, where it's like, what is this film?
Right.
It's like, it kind of feels like a pink film, but it's not as well. So it doesn't please anyone except us.
I read a couple of negative Japanese reviews about this, where they're like probably for the same reasons, it's not this or that, and for that reason it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I felt the complete opposite.
Yeah, me too. Me too, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a very well-reviewed film.
Really? I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. All right, shall we get into the film itself?
I think we should.
So I've got a whole lot of things to sprinkle in. I bought the cinema pamphlet for this,
nice.
which had a nice little interview with Sato in it. So I've got some extra tidbits.
That's what they call them.
To put in. All right, so we open up in a quiet residential area of Suginami Ward, which is a Tokyo suburb, and we meet Minako Tono, played by Moeko Ezawa. We'll get to her in a moment. Yeah.
Right.
So she's a 49-year-old housewife. She was closer to 60 when she filmed this, but
Yeah, she doesn't look 49 in this.
yeah. And yeah, she's in there, she's watching TV. So yeah, do you know much about this actress?
And then she's the Roman porno actress. She's like a veteran Roman porno actress.
She's a big time Roman porno actress. She's famous for her work with Tatsumi Kumishiro. Do you know him?
What did he do?
He is a man who has made many Roman pornos with very wet titles, like Woods Are Wet,
The Woods Are Wet,
Wet Lips, and Lovers Are Wet.
Jesus.
She's in all of those films.
Okay.
He really likes the wet titles. But yeah, she's also like, she's a prolific actress. She's in films by Takashi Miike, Takeshi Kitano, Shohei Imamura, and Juzo Itami. So lots and lots of... She's worked with like a lot of big directors. And yeah, she was born in Hyogo, so pretty close to where we are, in 1939. And she only died quite recently in 2022. But yeah, she is really great in this film.
She's lovely.
Yeah, I really love her.
She has such a kind of earnest, like spirit about her.
Yeah,
you really root for her.
She really adds a lot to this.
Yeah.
So, she is watching TV, and the show is called Crime Information Bureau, The Wanted, all in capitals and written in English as well. And the show is hosted by Minako's eldest daughter, Asuka, played by Tomomi Kuribayashi. I don't know a lot about her, but she's in a lot of V cinema, and she also appeared in the Sato film Night of Bodies Model, which I know that you're a big fan
I
of.
watched that recently.
But yeah, she's not in a huge amount of stuff. So she's the host of the show, and also featured on the show, we have 3 very special commentators, one more special than 2 of them.
Dude,
we've got...
I tell you what, just to jump in, there were so many times in this movie when I was like, I can't believe this person is in this movie. Like, relentlessly.
I'm actually hoping that you can help me with some of the people in this, because there are people that are listed in the credits that I didn't spot in the film.
Right.
So we'll see if we get to them. There's a lot of fucking cameos in this.
Oh, yeah. I think that's probably the only thing I can bring to this episode. It's just me being like, no, look at this guy.
No, that is great if you can help with that. So the 3 commentators, I'll leave the best to last. We've got Ziko Uchiyama.
Yes.
Oh, you know about this guy? Oh, good.
Yes. Do you?
I'm glad that you do. No, I don't. I know that he's in Toxic Avenger 2.
Yes.
That's all I know about him.
Wow.
Tell me about him.
This is a bit of a rabbit hole.
Okay.
So, yeah. Jiko Uchiyama, right?
Oh, that's how you pronounce it.
Jiko Uchiyama.
Okay.
But that's because his name is written in katakana. It's like stylized. So because it is stylized, his like online database entries are always a fucking mess.
Right.
So there's multiple profiles for him.
Sure. Okay.
So, but yeah, his name is Jiko Uchiyama. He is primarily an actor. He never plays like a big role, but he often plays like these small cameos or supporting roles. He's been in Rubber's Lover. He's quite a big role in Rubber's Lover. He was in Tetsuo 2.
Holy shit.
And as you said, Toxic Avenger Part 2 as well when they come to Japan. But one of the most interesting things, I guess you could say, about him is he has a alternative persona.
Yes.
So as an actor, he goes by Jiko Uchiyama, but he is a director under the pseudonym of Sasori Kantoku.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So Sasori being the Japanese word for scorpion, but also being the character name for Kajimeko in the Female Prisoner series.
Right.
And he dresses up as Kajimeko.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so, in Female Prisoner, Kajimeko has that big black hat with the long hair.
Yeah.
So he puts on a wig.
Yeah.
Wears, like, these long black clothes with this big black hat. and they just call him the Scorpion director based off this fucking image he took of Kazumiko. So under the persona of the Scorpion director, he made a film, among others, but he's made one which I have called The Privates of the Soul.
Right.
As in privates, as in genitals.
Yeah.
Like that privates. And it's just fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
And I've thought about doing it for the pod, but it's just, I mean, it's real, like, amateur, low level, like, get your mates together and kind of try to film something without any sort of production value whatsoever kind of thing. And there are some scenes which are really fun, but there are some real, like, hammy dragging scenes. But, yeah, he's a funny guy. I actually have mentioned him to you before, because he did a disastrous crowdfunding campaign.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Fuck, I remember you showed me. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, so he was trying to get his new film crowdfunded. His new film was called Saru Gorilla Chimpanzee. Something like that. And he made this, like, big old crowdfunding, asked for a ton of money, and just, like, walked around the street, like, with a phone, filming, like, cast members just being like, please support us.
Yeah, I remember you showing
Please give us money.
Videos. Yeah.
Yoroshiku. And it just looked and felt awful. And there was no information about the film, and there was no production value in the actual, like, campaign itself. And I was like, mate, who's really going to give you money? And he sent me a message, because I spoke to him a few times, and he was like, here's the link to my new crowdfunding. And I was like, yeah, I saw,
Holy shit.
Anyway, so he makes some funny movies. He's a funny fella.
He's a funny fella.
But primarily, I know him from Rubber's Lover.
Wow. I'm so glad that you knew about him, because he was the one of the three that I couldn't find out much about. Like, Googling him, I guess as you say, like, his name is hard to search for, right? And he looks like, seeing him in the film, it's like, he's an interesting guy, because he's a very weird looking man, completely bald, like bald, shaved bald,
big bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, very interesting looking guy. So that's one of them. What's his name again?
Jiko Uchiyama.
All right, so that's one of the commentators on this TV show. The second one, Kagero Mutsuki. Do you know who this guy is?
I recognized him, but I couldn't pinpoint him.
He is an erotic novelist and manga artist. That's all I can tell you about him.
Okay.
Nothing too exciting. But yeah, he's written a lot of erotic novels.
Okay.
I looked him up on Amazon Japan. I'm just like, yep, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot of erotic.
And the last guy, who I forgot was in this, because Letterboxd, a lot of the names for this entry and for a lot of Sato's films are incorrect, because they're just like Google fucking translated.
Right.
So he's not actually credited at this point on the Letterboxd entry.
Okay.
But he's very easy to recognize as soon as you see that fucking hideous face of his. And it's okay to say this about him because he's a piece of shit.
And he's dead.
We've got the last commentator, Issei Sagawa. And I'm sure a lot of people listening will immediately shudder hearing that name. Guy, you want to tell us who Sagawa is for those who don't know who he is?
He is famously known as the man who shot a girl in the head. Did
he shoot her?
He shot her.
God, Jesus.
And then ate her. Or at least parts of her.
While he was in Paris, right?
And I believe she was Dutch.
She was Dutch, yeah.
Then he came back to Japan, and through a loophole in the system, got completely let off the hook from murder and cannibalism, and then became a food critic.
Yeah. And yeah,
it's insane.
It's a massive rabbit hole to go down with him, and I think it might be something we might go into.
We will
another time. So
quite soon.
We don't need to. Let's not talk too much about him, but you can look forward to more stuff about him in a later episode. This is not the only one of Sato's films that he's in.
Bedroom.
He's in the bedroom. I feel like maybe there's another as well, but these are the two that I remember him being in. So that was a massive tangent to go on in the first scene for this film. But yeah, basically we've got the daughter of the main character hosting the show, these three shitty commentators on this show as well, this crime show. So Asuka, the host, She's reporting on a bizarre chainsaw murder of a dentist and his wife in a residential area of Ibaraki Prefecture. And the police are said to be looking for the missing daughter of the dentist, a 17-year-old who is played by Yuka Sakurai.
Right.
Also, I think miscredited on Letterboxd as well. I couldn't find out anything about her online. This could be the only film that she's in, and she's miscredited on Letterboxd. The kanji for her name is like pretty generic, so couldn't really find much about her. But anyway, the police are looking for this daughter who they refer to as Girl A at this point, and she's the kind of key witness or suspect. So the three commentators are three ridiculous men. They all make these kind of sweeping statements about this chainsaw girl. They're calling her dangerous. They want information about her released to the public. Sagawa, the cannibal in particular, makes a lot of silly comments, kind of pretentiously comparing the sound of a dentist drill to a chainsaw.
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly.
What a cunt.
I fair enough. As an opening scene, it's great. And I was like, oh, here we go. So it's going to be about this random chainsaw wielding maniac girl killing and fucking her way through Japan. But it's not.
But that is the fucking thing that I love about this film.
Right.
So we've got this Girl A character that gets introduced. And what I fucking love about this as a Sato fan is this is him kind of like riffing on himself.
Right.
Which is what I love. Because like, and I've got like a quote from him about this. Right?
Oh, okay, good.
So he's talking about this Girl A character type. And he says in this interview, in my old films, I was more concerned about the portrayal of the Girl A type character. So he would always show it from this character's point of view and focus on this character. But here, he wanted to do it in a abstract kind of way.
Right.
Girl A has destroyed her family and the values that surround her, and she's going off to start her second life, right? And she's basically just like a background figure in this.
Yeah.
And she's just adding to the atmosphere and to the themes of the film rather than directly to the narrative. But I really love that aspect because at first you're like, oh, this
you expect it to be about her, right?
Classic Sato character, a chainsaw misanthropic teen who's killed her parents. But then she's just sort of there, like lurking in the background as this kind of
like a wraparound story that never really like integrates itself with the main story of the film, but we kind of come back to.
But I think for me, it's like it's a thematic thing, like connected to the themes of family values and stuff. And and as you're hearing about this character, Asuka, the host of the show, is just rambling about family values, right? Talking about love and caring in a family. And meanwhile, as she's like saying this, her neglected mother is like just watching this like play out, which I fucking love that touch. And I think also like this chainsaw girl is kind of a suggestion of what could happen to the family in this as well. And it's kind of this threat that's just like lurking there the whole time, which we see kind of later on in the film with the son character that we'll talk about soon. But anyway, we cut to Girl A, who is hitching a ride with a trucker, and she's just carrying a chainsaw around everywhere, which I loved. It was so good. So after this opening with the TV show and the mum watching, we cut to a title shot. Yawarakai Hada.
Soft skin.
By the way, this film shares the same title as a much more famous Truffaut film.
Yeah, I noticed that.
God, Googling this, I just kept fucking getting stuff about the Truffaut film. Do you reckon a few Truffaut fans might listen to this?
It's going to be like,
oh, here we go.
Or it's going to be like, oh, I downloaded the wrong soft skin.
Yeah.
They're all having sex.
Yeah. So yes, we get our title shot, and there's some lovely, wistful, beautiful music playing over the top.
Right.
And this is the thing that blew my mind the most. So I really like the music in this. I'm like, I wonder who did the music. Because Sato, he really has a good ear for like great composers. He always gets a lot of really interesting people making the music for his films. This is by far the most famous composer that has worked with Sato.
Okay.
Holy shit. This is fucking kind of mind-blowing.
Right.
So the guy that made the music for this is Otomo Yoshihide.
Right.
He is... So So looking him up, I'm like, oh shit, he's composed some other films.
Okay, just to jump in for a second. So he is primarily a composer. He's not like a band man or a musician. He does scores primarily.
We'll see.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
So he also composed Hanadama, which you talked about earlier. He composed Rampo Noir, which Sato did a segment for in 2005. But he's also been the composer for way more famous films like Blue from 2002, Ino-O from 2021, and he's even done international films like The Blue Kite from 1993, which is a fucking great film and very film that we would never talk about on this podcast. But he's more famous as a musician outside of his film work. This is just like a side hustle for him, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
So he was the leader of the 90s experimental rock group Ground Zero.
Okay.
And made free improvisation. He did noise, he did jazz, avant-garde, contemporary classical music, and he's considered a pioneer. I've never heard of this until looking him up. He's considered a pioneer of electroacoustic improvisation, which is...
Is that a genre?
EAI.
EAI.
A form of free improvisation.
Has he done an album with Merzbow by any chance?
I don't know. Do you want to check?
Yeah, his name sounds so familiar. Yes, yeah. So I do know him from this collaboration project he did with Merzbow, like Japanese noise artist.
Right. Oh, the guy who directed that.
Oh, the Harakiri stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh, shit.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So he's done an album together with him. So yeah, it's like a free jazz noise.
Sure.
Which makes sense that Sato would ask him to do his fucking soundtrack.
Yeah, his discography is mind-blowing. He's prolific, so prolific. And it was really weird, like, just another random tangent, but like the day that I was reading about him, I had just bought Eric Dolphy's album Out to Lunch, which is like one of my favorite jazz... Out to Lunch.
That sounds so pleasant.
Yeah. One of my favorite jazz records, and I'd finally found it on vinyl.
Right.
And I was listening to it as I was reading about him, and then in his discography, he's remade that album in his kind of style. I'm like, what the fuck? The cover is the same sort of design as the original album, but it's like Shinjuku Station. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, that was mind-blowing. And I spoke to one of my friends who's a massive like music nerd, and he just gave me a list of suggestions. So I've been listening to his stuff a lot.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like,
bizarre.
This film is just filled with
stuffed, but it makes sense.
Famous people.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have picked him out from the credits list, but looking at all the cameos and odd people pop up here, there, and everywhere, and then hearing that this was his 50th film, and it does feel like he put a lot of effort. Into this. It feels like, you know, kind of as a celebration of his making his 50th film, that he just kind of got everyone and anyone involved.
With this great music from our mate Otomo Yoshihide playing over the top, Minako, the lonely housewife, the mother, she dusts her house down, looks at a photo of her absent family.
Can I just say, there's one point, because she's watching her daughter on TV, right? This is where, and the TV show ends, and she like claps for her daughter.
Oh yeah.
And she just seems like such a proud
she's a delight.
And such a supporting mum that you really root for her.
She's great,
but it's like, but none of her family care.
No,
it's so sad.
So we cut to Minako's husband, Kenichi.
Oh yeah,
played by Hiromi Kuronuma.
Okay.
Who I'm sure that you recognize.
He was in Night Model, right?
Yeah, Night of Bodies Model. He's in that. What are you laughing at?
Just missed half the words.
Yeah, Night Model. No. He's a Night Model, isn't he? Imagine if you talked about all films like that. What would One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? One Nest. Bird! That's not even in the title. But he's also he's a Tsukumoto regular, but I didn't recognize him, but he's in Bullet Ballet and Gemini, but they must be small roles because I didn't recognize him from that. But yeah, basically Kenichi, he's a fucking loser salaryman who's been demoted from the head office and is now working at some shitty local sales office. So he doesn't even live at home, right? He's just like out in this shitty office. He's fucking pathetic at his job. So when we first meet him, he's getting like treated like garbage on the phone by a customer, and his coworkers are just laughing behind his back.
Yes. And
I'm assuming this is the cameo you're most excited about.
Yeah. Did you catch it?
Oh yeah. You can talk about this.
So that's so it's so quick. He's kind of not even like framed. He's kind of on the side. Like. So yeah, the as you said, the dad Kenichi is getting grilled by one of the customers, and I think he ends up like losing the client. They cancel the contract, and they hang up. And Kenichi is so stressed. And you can see just the stress boiling within him. And he kind of just freaks out, slams the phone down. The coworker next to him, he's kind of shocked. And he kind of jumps. He's alarmed at this guy's massive reaction. And that shocked coworker is played by Yota Kawase, the main actor from Rubber's Lover. Yeah. There are 2 Rubber's Lovers actors in this.
So many fucking cameos. It's relentless.
He was primarily a Pink actor, wasn't he? He's been in loads of Pink films.
I don't know, actually. I mostly know him as the Rubber's Lover guy, but he's in like he's in fucking Shin Godzilla. When I was looking him up, yeah, I don't remember him in it, but he's in that. I don't know. Oh, everyone's in that fucking film.
But he was in more recently. What's it? The Eyes Dream, the new Sato film that just got released.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
He's a funny fella.
He's a funny fella.
He is. I had a drink with him.
Did you really? Yeah. Holy shit!
Yeah, funnily enough.
So you've had contact with 2 actors that are in this. The guy, the bald lad from before, the
bald lad, yeah,
who you talked to online, and then you had a drink with this man who's in one shot.
Yeah. I went to shows in Fukui's bar and he was just there, like having a drink.
There's always someone I was just
there. Like, oh! and shows him was like, hey guy, look who's turned up. And I was like, fuck.
Was he a nice guy?
He's really nice.
Funny fella?
Funny fella.
I feel like this is a new podcast. A podcast, what do we call these? A trope of the podcast. The funny fella?
Oh god. Oh, and then so the guy's just lost the Kenichi, the dad. He's lost the contract. Slams the phone down. Everyone's thinking, "What the fuck is up with this guy?" But darling wife Minako calls in to check in on her darling husband. But he is so fucking stressed that he's like, "Don't fucking call me at work."
Just slams
the phone down.
Just in front of everybody.
Yeah,
he's fucking furious.
And then poor Minato.
She's got it rough. She tries to call Asuka, the host of the TV show. Her daughter gets the voicemail, and then at the TV show, we meet Asuka's director, Kikuchi, played by yet another fucking familiar face. Masahiko Sakata.
What else has he been in? Because I couldn't pinpoint him.
He's one of those guys though, right? You see his face, you're like, I know this guy, but I can't pinpoint what it is because he's in so much stuff. But you would have recently probably seen him in a Sato film because he's in a shit ton of Sato films. But he also has a pretty substantial role in Shion Sono's Cold Fish. Yeah, he's in that, and he's in a bunch of Miike films as well. Okay. But he's in a fuck ton of Sato films too. He's a very gross guy. Like I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he always plays icky kind of characters.
He's like how Shion Sono is.
Maybe he based his performance on Shion Sono.
Way earlier than...
Yeah, he saw it coming. This film was his message to the world. Like, Shion Sono's a creep.
Don't trust creepy directors with funny glasses.
He does have funny glasses in this. Yeah, very funny. He
keeps flapping him around.
You know what? I would say he's a funny fella.
I would say so.
So yeah, Asuka and her director, Kikuchi, they have a chat, and we very quickly see that he's a creepy guy, right? And then, oh my god, there's so many fucking famous people in this film. But then a cameraman is watching this happen. Oh, I'm sure you've got a lot to say about this guy. So the cameraman, Sugisaki is his name, and he's filming Asuka's conversation with Kikuchi, and we can see that he's like enamored with her. It's a very Sato moment. And he is played by
Machida Ko, who appeared on our previous podcast episode as... Wait, did you not realise who it was?
Wait. Wait, is he...
He's the mate with the silly red hat.
Oh, fuck! Oh, that cunt! Oh,
He's the guy who plays the guitar with his penis in Tampon Tango.
Oh my... You've blown my fucking mind. I did not realize that was him.
I thought that's what you were going with this.
I mean, I just was like, oh, he's a well-known punk musician, blah, 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 blah. But
Yeah.
I forgot about that connection.
Who breaks roof tiles with his penis in Tampon Tango.
Oh my God.
I was shocked when I saw him in this.
Jesus Christ. Very different role for him.
Very different. Less penis guitar
Yeah.
playing.
And... None, actually. No penis guitar play. Fuck, that's crazy. I did not know. I did not remember that connection.
How?
Holy fucking shit. But yeah, just a quick recap of it. Very fucking famous.
Very funny fella.
Very funny fella. Punk musician, poet, author. From Sakai.
He was also in, is he from Sakai?
Yeah.
Jesus. I think he's in Burst City as well.
Fucking everyone.
Who isn't in bloody Burst
I feel
City?
like every fucking person we ever talk about.
even
is
I'm in Burst
Yeah,
City.
you're in it. I've seen you in it.
So then we meet the eldest son. Played Hyuga.
Which took me a long time to work out this character's name because on Letterboxd he's credited as something else.
Right.
In my pamphlet it wasn't translating properly, but listening out for his name it is Hyuga.
Right.
He's a college age student. He's loves flowers, sniffing away
Loves
like mad.
flowers. All the flowers.
And he is again one of the bigger actors in this.
Yeah, so he's got a very young looking face.
We haven't said his name yet, right?
So he's played by Kenji Mitsuhashi, and he always plays, well, not always, he's older now, but for the longest time, he played, like, young boys, like college
He
students.
still played young boys now in his, like, 50s or something.
Oh, he could easily play
Really?
at university.
He still looks young.
He does. But I remember I first saw him in the movie. Have you seen Moonlight Whispers?
I know the name, but I haven't seen that.
I think you'll like that because you like coming of age dramas and stuff,
Yeah.
right? This is a fucked coming of age drama.
Sounds great.
And it's played by I think they're two high school students, so they're not even like of age yet. But it's like this weird coming of age SM relationship between these two students, and he plays the guy who just gets beaten up
Oh, God.
non-stop by this this college girl, like high school girl, sorry.
Oh, wow.
Look at the poster. It's awesome.
That is amazing.
Right? It's a really
That is
fucking
incredible.
good drama, coming of age drama, but it's really fucked.
Yeah. Can you remind me after this? I'm going to add this to my watch list.
Watch it.
That sounds
Moonlight
great.
Whispers, everyone. So yeah, he's a great actor. He's been in the Tomie films as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he's in the original Tomie, which came out the same year as this. Pretty crazy. Soft Skin and Tomie, same year.
And he was in Night Model.
And not only is he in... Did you realize the connection there? So he plays the son of Hiromi Kuronuma, who plays his dad in this. So it's like...
Recurring father-son relationship.
they're a father and son in this as well. Isn't that
love
fucking
it.
great? They work really well as father and son. They
do.
They look related in a way. I wouldn't say they look similar, but they do feel like father and son. I think they pull it off very well. He's also in Pulse by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and he's in one of my favorite films of all time, The Taste of Tea. By Katsuhito Ishii, which is a fucking great film. So I'm just rubbing my hands a lot in this episode.
Sorry for the hand rubbing sounds, everyone.
I'm just so excited about Mizuhashi Kenji.
We're still not even... we're fucked. We're fucked.
We've really fucked up.
This is a long episode. Sorry, everyone.
To be fair, though, like, once we get through everyone famous, but there's still so many more.
Bear with us.
We'll try and get through the plot quickly. We're just too excited for Soft Skin. Okay, so... the son, Hyuga, he gets a message from his mum on his pager. I had to look up what a pager was again, because I know what a pager was, but I'm like, what is that thing called again? And I had to like Google it, because I'd forgotten.
What did you search?
Beeper? You can call it beeper as well, I think, right? But anyway, very unimportant. We don't have time for a tangent about pagers.
I remember when I got my first pager.
Did you actually? Oh, God. But yeah, he gets a message from his mum saying to call her He ignores it.
What a cunt.
Gets back to work on those flowers, sniffing away. Then we cut to Minako's younger daughter, Ai, who is a high school student, 17 years old, played by Reiko Tagaki.
Right.
Who doesn't seem to have appeared in anything else.
Okay.
Couldn't find anything about her. But yes, Ai is a second-year high school student, and we see her eating this insanely big meal at a restaurant, chowing down like mad, and an older man is sitting opposite her, and clearly this is some kind of arrangement, right? She's either a prostitute and he's a customer buying her a meal, or she's selling something. Yeah,
herself.
we don't know the details yet, but clearly something's going on here. And her mobile phone goes off. She answers it, but just immediately just hangs up.
Oh, yeah, and it's her mum.
Yeah,
Hangs up on her poor mum.
That poor mum. So back to the mum, back to Minako. She's all sad that her family is ignoring her, understandably. And yeah, I really love, so that's how, the way we've established all our main characters. And I really love in this film the way Sato does this. And they're all battling loneliness in their own ways, right? Which is a very, very Sato thing. Even though this is tonally quite different to a lot of his work, he loves focusing on the lonely characters, right? And here it's in this family unit, but they're all living in these separate ways. And this film is his comment on the modern Japanese family. And I think he's doing it not in a positive or negative way, but just as an observation, right? And in that interview, he talks about that, saying they live separately so they can sustain their shape, is what he says to describe the family. This is the only way they can continue. So he talks about the family being an illusion formed by society, and he wanted to explore the relationships between all the individuals in the family. But then he wanted to kind of remove their predetermined roles and sort of let them loose.
Okay.
Which is, I love it.
So then I think we get probably one of my favorite scenes, actually.
Yeah, which is, again, filled with cameos as well. This might be cameos this is where, this is good, because you knew people that I did not know that much about, which is great. But this has one of my favorite Sato regulars.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on anything. Is that Kiyomi?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my god!
So we cut to the dad Kenichi on the train. It's shot very intensely, very classic Sato sort of scene, or wide angle lenses of people on a train. And we see one shot of Kiyomi Ito, the fucking greatest Sato regular. Maybe the bravest actress I've ever seen in any film. Oh, yeah. Because she'll just fucking do anything.
She's got some balls.
Yeah. And she seems to be maybe drunk on the train, or she's hallucinating. She's calling out to someone. It's just one shot.
I didn't even recognize her.
It's so quick, yeah. But as soon as I started, I'm like, yes! And then I was a little sad that she doesn't,
I'm so glad you pointed her out, because I saw her name in the list, in the credits, but I couldn't pinpoint her in the film. She's kind of a bit of a chameleon. She can really adapt to a role and look completely different from previous roles.
Oh, she's great.
Yes.
Love her.
So yeah, the dad Kenichi, he's on a very packed train, and we're getting the announcement playing over, through the train speakers saying, don't speak loudly on the phone as it's an inconvenience to other passengers. The Kenichi dad fella, he's very tense from work, and he's standing up. He doesn't have a seat because the train's packed. He's rammed in there, classic Tokyo train situation. And we have another lady, not Kiyomi Ito, is drunk and saying to her husband or boyfriend, something. He said, I've not seen her, blah, blah, blah. And you can tell the dad, Kenichi, is getting aggravated by these people. Then on the other side of him, a younger girl is also talking on the phone, and he's also getting aggravated.
A schoolgirl, right?
A schoolgirl. And it's so funny because he ignores... I mean, you can tell it's aggravation, but he ignores the older lady with her fella. Doesn't say anything. But he turns to the younger schoolgirl and starts poking her stop talking, getting more and more agitated that she's talking on the phone, which is something to say about his character.
Totally.
He doesn't say anything to the adult who has a fella with her, but he will happily keep repeatedly prodding and shushing this younger girl. So he's getting more and more pissed off because she's talking loudly on the train. And then she's talking to her friend, And she's like, oh, this fucking pervert keeps touching me on the train. And then all the people start and turn to the dad. And he's like, no, I wasn't touching her. I just wanted her to stop talking. And then they have an altercation outside the station. And she's like, hey, you're that pervert from the train. Yeah. And a crowd like comes around them and starts to like see what's going on, what's all this commotion about.
But then as he's berating her, he then pulls her onto his lap, pulls her skirt up, and she's got some Hello Kitty underwear on.
Love it.
And just starts spanking her. The onlookers are like watching this and they're loving it.
Yeah.
They're like clapping for him. They're like, yeah, you've done it, Kenichi, you've done it, mate. And we realize that some of the people in the crowd are the office workers at his office. Were like cheering him on. But then he snaps out of it. It was all just a fantasy. But which, it really sums up his character.
It does. And I love the way he paints himself as a hero in this fantasy that he's made, because he comes in from above and he's like, you're a student. Students' work is studying. You should be looking at books. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And he starts spanking her and everyone starts clapping for him. And he looks so proud of himself. Yeah, it's just a delusion of a fucking perverted old man.
Yeah, and that scene really does like establish exactly who this guy is. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a weak fella.
Pathetic cunt. So then we're back to Asuka at the TV studio. The director, Kikuchi, is telling her that she needs to be conscious of her pleasure of being seen by viewers. And he's like massaging her and just being a general creep about this. And Sugisaki, the cameraman, watches. Then he enters the scene and begins to film her. And she basically starts to fuck the camera. Yeah. Essentially.
She becomes aware of being watched, and that kind of awakens something inside her, right?
Yeah. And it's so Sato. Like, he loves this shit. He loves the camera and mixing it with like this sort of sexual reaction. And it's the most Sato thing in the film. Her getting turned on by being filmed.
Turned on film. And it's like really over the top. Really, like she's like moaning, rubbing herself, orgasming just by looking into this lens. Yeah.
So then we go back to Hyuga, the son, and he's found a lovely house lined with flower pots.
He loves flower pots.
And while he's admiring it, he's approached by the owner of the house, who is a widow by the name of Yukiko, played by Junko Asahina.
Is she a Sato regular, or?
She's not a Sato regular, but she's a pretty interesting lady.
Right.
So according to the cinema pamphlet, she was a Takarazuka performer. And again, not to go too far into a tangent.
Yeah.
Fuck, we kind of have to, right? Takarazuka is like... how would you describe Takarazuka?
Theatre, but it's like all of the roles, regardless of gender, are played by women, but kind of dressed up and made up to look like men.
I've never actually been. It's in Kansai area.
It's in Takarazuka.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that was like her first job was doing that.
Not going into a tangent, but I've heard working for at Takarazuka in this kind of theatre production is fucking hell.
I could imagine.
It's fucking hell.
Yeah.
There's been like suicides and there's loads. Really? It's like there's a massive like hierarchy, and all like the lower people have to treat like the seniors as like gods.
Wow.
And if they don't, they get like driven to suicide.
And people obsess over Takarazuka as well.
It's a
like
big
going constantly.
Thing. Yeah.
I would like to go, but it's probably quite boring.
Well, I mean, it's what's the point?
It's really hard to get tickets as well, because there's like mega fans that just go to every single performance.
You're just going to see a bunch of women dressed up as men.
It is quite interesting though, because they do adaptations of kind of unusual things.
Okay.
Like, I remember once they were doing like an adaptation of Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America.
Oh, okay.
Which would just be so weird to see a bunch of women dressed up as men doing a musical version of that in Japanese.
Yeah, it could be surreal. Yeah, I can imagine.
But it goes they're like 4-hour shows, right?
That. All right.
But anyway.
No more rabbit hole, no more tangents.
She was a Takarazuka performer. She went on to be in a lot of stuff, including Ultraman Ace.
Your favorite.
Love a bit of Ultraman. And she released albums as
Really?
well,
Huh.
and then eventually moved into Roman porno films in the 80s. And she died just a few years ago at
that's
a
a
very young age. That's quite sad. She's really great in this film. So Yukiko invites Hyuga over to her flower-smothered house, and they have a shag. And it's already like, even though she's not his mother, it feels incestuous.
But it also feels like fucking pedophilia.
Yeah,
because she's way older, and he's
way older. He's an adult. he is an adult. He's a college-age student, but she's talking about wishing that she had a child as she deflowers him. Because we find out here that he's a virgin as well. Pretty grim.
That's not nice. Let's move swiftly on.
So then we're back to Minako, and she's like sheepishly calling like a telephone dating club.
Oh yeah.
But she says what her age is to the other person, and they immediately hang up on her.
Oh.
But then she manages to get through to someone else who she hits it off with, and she's sort of immediately very giggly and excited talking to this person.
Yes.
Then
meanwhile, we cutting back and forth between the young daughter.
The best and most fucked scene in this film.
Pretty full on. Pretty full on. So we saw Ai the first time devouring a mound of food, right? She likes her food.
Yeah.
And we also previously learned that she might be involved in some kind of adult industry, prostitution, or something or other. We learn what that is now. So she is a full-on dominatrix. She's in a,
Love hotel.
She's in a love hotel. She's leather clad, sexy leather clothes. She's got a man chained up on the bed, kind of bound and gagged. She's whipping him, and in one hand she has a massive chicken thigh, so like a drumstick. So she's ripping the meat off this drumstick and
huge.
whipping this older salary man type man who's just crying and being like, oh, more. And she takes the chicken leg and shoves it up his bum.
And says mealtime for farm animals. I'm pretty sure that's not how you feed a farm animal, by shoving a chicken bone up its ass. After that amazing moment, we're over to the truck driver who picked up Chainsaw Girl. We finally see Chainsaw Girl again. Now, this truck driver is a famous man too.
Oh, is he?
Oh, you didn't recognize this guy?
No, who's this guy?
So this guy is Butchie Musha.
Butchie.
Who is a pretty famous comedian, I found out by looking him up. Yeah.
Oh, no.
After this, you should Google him. It's pretty funny. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm like, surely that name can't be right. But no, Butchie Musha. Yeah, he's in there having sex with the Chainsaw Girl. And he thinks it's her first time because she's bleeding. But then she's like, nah, I'm on my period. So then we're back to Minako, and she's meeting the guy that she was talking to on the phone club.
Now, who the fuck is this guy?
Well, I can't tell you much about who he is. Yeah.
I felt like the whole time I was watching this, I was like, who the fuck is this? I recognized him.
Yeah, he looked familiar to me as well. The character's name is Kazuhiko, and he's played by Hitoshi Kusanagi, and I couldn't really find anything that he was in. There's just a couple of things here and there, but nothing well known. But, it could just be he's been miscredited on things. So, yeah, I couldn't find much that he was in.
Right.
Yeah. But he comes over to Minako's house. He's a youngish man.
He's
much younger than Minako. Yeah, like 30s or something 30s, like that. I guess. A regular age. A normal age.
A regular age.
Well, as I get older, it's like, whatever's my age. Like, yeah, normal age, But Minako is loving it.
She's kind of playing house.
Yeah, she's getting very giddy. She's full of life all of a sudden, and she's kind of having flashbacks with this guy, to her early days of marriage. And I really liked Sato in his interview talks about this tone that he's going for here. So he was saying, the setup here is that the mother is a former actress, which we're going to find out soon. So she's a very sensitive woman and wants to go back to the time she felt the most alive. And I love this thing that Sato says. So he says, I heard that when you get dementia, you go back to the time when you felt most alive.
Huh.
In the case of women, they become adolescents in sailor suits. And in the case of men, they become babies. That's kind of true, right?
Sure.
you know, when women get older, they might go back to like this kind of, you know, like a high school kind of time or young, you know, early 20s, whereas men become babies again as they get older. But yeah, you're right. It is quite incestuous as well, right? Like, so even though they're lovers, Minako and this guy she's met on the telephone club, they're kind of feeding each other beef stew and drinks.
I did love their interactions with this, though.
It is great.
Because they met through like a telephone dating service, right? And so they're very formal. Well, he's very formal when he speaks to her. And she's talking to him like as if he's her husband from 20 years ago. So she's like, oh, darling, how about I make beef stew tonight?
Yeah.
And he's just like very polite, like... Oh, beef stew, that would be very nice. Like, very, like, formally. And she's like, no, you idiot. Yeah. You're my husband in this. And then he's like, oh, beef stew, good. And he kind of, like, switches. And his kind of, like, switching roles and characters is really fun to watch. And then, but then we have this weird, like, feeding each other beef stew and, like, feeding each other drinks and stuff. And I don't know, I didn't feel like it was weird. It seemed very playful.
I think, though, there's a layer of... Like, I know Sato says that he wanted this to feel like lovers, but also a bit mother and son, like, as well.
Really?
Which I do think you have flashes of that. The age difference, but also the way that they're acting with each other as well. Right. It's like a little bit... There's a level of creepiness to it, even though it's kind of cute, but it's also a bit creepy.
Right.
And they do a fuck.
They
do fucking.
They do a fuck.
After their beef stew munching, they do some fucking.
Some beef stew? You don't munch a beef stew.
And I was really surprised that Izawa, who plays Minako, she's nearly 60, and she gets fully nude in this film. The cinema pamphlet that I got spends quite a lot of time talking about how great her boobs are. It spends a lot of time just bringing that up over and over again. I'm like, all right.
You know what?
We get you.
I don't want to sound like a perv, but when we saw Minako, she's like, what, 60? Or
she's,
at the time of
at this point of filming this, she was close to 60.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, way older. There was not one point where I was just like, I can't wait to see her get naked. But when she did, I was like, she's got a pretty good body.
Yeah, you're right.
Does.
Yeah, she really does.
Knockout boobs. I'll tell you what, give me that pamphlet, I'll add a few more sentences.
My personal opinion, just handwritten in my cinema pamphlet.
Miyako's boobs.
So after this, we cut back to that show we saw, The Wanted, the crime show.
Yes.
And we hear that the truck driver has been found dead, killed with a chainsaw. And Asuka reveals the real name and a picture of the suspect, this Girl A character.
So, the reason they call her Eiko, it's like A as in the letter A plus common suffix on names. So anytime a minor is involved in any sort of case, they're referenced as Eiko, Biko, Siko, because they're not legally allowed to give the names or faces of the child involved. So if we look at these like famous cases, probably one of the most prolific ones being the concrete encased high school murder girl thing, all of the killers in that were under like these Eiko Bikos or like C whatever. I think it was up to D or whatever. So they just go through like numerically with Ko at the end, and it's law that you cannot provide this information. But this random news outlet TV show, they were like, well, there are more people getting killed and we feel like we need to give that information and we might get a backlash, but this is the girl and this is her face. So they completely just reveal this minor, essentially.
The commentators are loving this as well. So our three ridiculous men before, they're like totally up for them breaking the law, doing this essentially. And we find out Chainsaw Girl's name is Yuriko.
Don't trust girls called Yuriko.
Really?
I met a bad Yuriko once.
Just once?
Just once.
You're going to base it all on that one person?
And this one.
That's two. That's two.
It's more than one.
And yeah, Minako and her new boyfriend, Kazuhiko, they're watching the program and they're quite sympathetic towards Yuriko, sort of talking about how she must be feeling.
Well, for Minako, she's the same age as her daughter, right?
Exactly, yeah. And we also find out at this point, because this is a week after that body's been found. So we realize that Kazuhiko has been staying at Minako's house for a week now. We've moved forward a week. And in that time, none of her family has called her.
Right.
Which I didn't really realize until second time round.
I didn't actually get that.
We've actually moved forward a week in time.
I didn't even realize that he was in her house.
Yeah, so he's just been living there for a week. We also get a flashback to Minako's youth, and she talks about being an actress who appeared in plays where she always played the heroine. And Kenichi, her husband, was the biggest fan. And we sort of see this in this flashback form where Kenichi proposes to Minako. Her family opposed it, and the two eloped and moved to Tokyo to get married. So after this, Minako and Kazuhiko come up with a plan to make Minako's family care again. Mm-hmm. Cut to Hyuga, the son, the flower-sniffing son, gets a message on his pager, and the message says, "Mum kidnapped. Come home." Kenichi gets a call in the office. Ai gets a call while she's on a date, while she's eating food.
Yep.
And we get this sped up fast motion shot of her eating the food, which feels very like 1980s Sato. That's like more of his like mid-80s style. Asuka gets a call at work, and the director, the sleazy Kikuchi guy, he's loving it because you can tell he's like ready to exploit the situation. So everyone goes home in this absolute, I fucking love this, but absolutely madcap fast motion. It's very like playful, like cartoonish. I think I like grabs like a lamppost at one point, spins around. And the Minako, the mother, she's watching all this from a distance from Kazuhiko's car. And kind of watching it in a kind of loving sort of way, like, here they all come. They're all coming back. Everyone's here except for me. And they all gather in the living room, all the members of the family. The phone rings. Kenichi answers, and using a voice changer, Kazuhiko explains that he is from a group called the Great... What is it? The Great Japan Saviors of Mother's Soul?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So he's basically...
Here is Dai Nippon Mother's Soul Salvation Society.
And basically Minako is dictating to Kazuhiko this whole sort of plan, right?
Yeah.
And he gives them the condition that for Minako's release, so they pretended that she's kidnapped, for the release, they have to become a perfect family. And after they hang up, Kenichi kind of thinks about why this has happened and decides that this guy must have done this out of a concern for the current state of Japan, where the sense of family has been lost. Which is very bold for him to be saying that.
Love it. It's so far-fetched. Yeah. It's so ridiculous, but at the same time, it's kind of so relevant.
Yeah, it's great. So they start looking around the house to see if they can find any clues as to who the kidnappers are.
I go straight to the fridge.
Yeah, I's just straight into the fridge, scoffing down food. Hyuga goes to his mum's bedroom and starts sniffing her nightgown.
Don't do that, that's grim.
And yeah, Asuka and Kenichi, the dad, they look at a family portrait because this photo is like the time where he was at the head office. Asuka's sort of giving him shit about how he got fired and demoted, and he's giving her shit about not living at home, even though that she could if she wanted to. She lives close enough to the TV studio to still live at home. And then I just pukes in the toilet after binging down all that food. Yeah. So we sort of realize at this point that she's bulimic, which we're going to hear more about later as well.
Oh, it's a dysfunctional family, isn't it?
It's a mess. But they're all back together, except the mum. But yeah, it's nice.
But I also liked when Asuka and the dad are like kind of giving each other shit, and they find this old picture of the dad, and she's like, "Oh, you look kind of good in this," and like he has absolutely no care for the fact that his wife's been kidnapped, and he's like, "Oh, really? Let me have a look at this picture." And he's like, "Oh, you're doing pretty good." Like he's only ever concerned about himself.
That's a great detail.
It's so funny because he's such a piece of shit when you kind of like look into the things he says and how he acts, but he doesn't ever really appear to do anything really, really wrong that would make you think, outright, he's a piece of shit. It's just these very subtle things.
Yeah, he's a fucking he's a very good and accurate portrait of a particular kind of man.
Yes.
So after the search, Kikuchi, the director, and Sugisaki, the cameraman, visit the family and they start setting up lights and begin working on a broadcast about the kidnapping.
So they're here to completely exploit the kidnapping of the presenter's mum.
Yeah. There's also a fucking great running gag in this that cracked me up so much. So Asuka comes out dressed in this fucking ridiculous outfit.
She's like a sunflower.
It's horrible. But this is just a great running gag where every time you see her, she's dressed more absurdly in these kind of like idol-looking outfits. And then it gets to the point where it's just lingerie.
Yeah.
It's a great gag. I love it. And again, like, the camera's on her. She's getting all horny about that camera.
Horny about that camera.
Meanwhile, Minako, Kazuhiko, just having a fucking blast on the beach, dancing around to some silly fucking music.
Oh, it's great. It is great.
They're having the time of their life.
When they're frolicking around, you have just this shot of the fake boyfriend guy just making a pair of sand tits in the sea.
Yeah,
like carving out some tits with a bit of nipples. And
that's great.
But yeah, so then the chainsaw girl rolls up and they're like, hey, can you come take our picture? We want to commemorate this this fantastic moment we're having.
I love that as well, where she takes the photo but deliberately cuts their heads off in the photo.
It's such a dick move.
But great touch, because she's the chainsaw girl. She likes chopping heads off. So Kazuhiko calls calls the family again from his beach house. I guess he must be a rich guy, right? He's just got this beach house, or they've hired a place there. And again, he's demanding the perfect family and talks about the mother, Minako, holding everything together. She's the figurehead of the family.
She's the pillar.
She's the pillar. After the call, the doorbell rings and the sun-fucking widow,
yes,
who we met before,
fucking hell,
shows up.
Yeah, this is when I'm just like, wait, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And it's completely out of nowhere. And this is the point where the kind of the balance kind of gets tipped into realms of insanity.
Yeah. Also, this is the point where the film starts to remind me a lot of Visitor Q.
Yeah.
The Miike film. This is before Visitor Q, but it's got that kind of feeling of the family going nuts.
Yeah.
Like going kind of crazy, but almost in a positive sort of way. Like everyone's really enjoying the way things are devolving or evolving or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you're right. This is the point where it really starts to tip into something else.
Because once she comes in, and there's never any kind of mention of the fact that she fucks the son either.
Yeah.
She kind of just rolls up and he's just like, he's like, you can't be here. But she kind of takes the role of the mother. Yeah. The kidnapped mother. She's like, I'm going to look out for you guys. I'm going to prepare for you. Not only that, gets pretty damn close to the dad.
Yeah, the dad comes down and sees her and just immediately like, oh, who's this? And clearly attracted to her straight away. And she reciprocates basically immediately.
Whilst he's trying to negotiate the return of his kidnapped wife, he's Googling the weird auntie who fucked his son.
But I also love as well, like I feel like the way Sato films it, it's not like he's being judgmental of this. It's just like madness that's just happening. It's just spiraling into this lunacy.
And there's a part, so after that, she cooks a meal for them, right? And the dad refers to her as an absolute angel. And they're just like eating this like delicious food that she's cooked, and they're all having the time of their lives because of this like lovely meal. No one cares about the mum.
Yeah. Well, that's like a running theme in this as well. Yeah. They're all just sort of like having a great time without the mum.
And I think that's the scene where Asuka is now like in lingerie.
So Yukiko, the son fucker and now father fucker, has cooked this meal, and another call comes in. And yet Asuka, as you say, dressed in like sexy lingerie at this point, but she's still hosting the show. They're still filming this. Yeah, Kenichi takes the phone call from the kidnapper and he asks to hear his wife's voice. And she gets on the phone, starts talking about how dangerous these culprits are and how they're so upset at the neglect that she's faced. But then Kazuhiko starts feeling her up. On the phone. Yeah. And she starts like moaning. And while this is happening, Kenichi gets a phone call on his cell phone from his manager. So he passes the phone to his son, Hyuga.
Don't pass it to the son.
Who then listens to his mum moaning and getting filled up. It's so gross.
Previously, he was sniffing her nightgowns and stuff.
It's grim. So Kenichi has gone off away from this scene, and he's on the phone with his boss. I love this moment so much.
Yeah.
He's getting berated by his boss to come back to work, and he's begging for his job. But then Yukiko, son fucker, father fucker, walks in, sees him, and he suddenly turns into a cool, smooth guy and quits.
Yeah.
In front of her on the phone, and she loves it.
She's
loves
like, wow,
it.
what a
man.
move. Fucking
What a
hell,
man.
What a stud.
What a stud. Throws herself on him. And, oh God, the next bit. Oh my God. So, the daughter, after eating, scoffing down this massive meal, she runs off to vomit. And Kikuchi, the director, so the TV director, follows her and starts asking if she has bulimia as she is throwing up. And he's telling her that, like, eating is running away from reality. And we're like, oh, maybe he's trying to help her.
Nah.
But no. Then he disgustingly, this is made me fucking sick. I'm not a vomit guy. I hate vomit. I have a fear of vomit, actually.
You have a fear of vomit.
I have a fear of vomiting and a fear of vomit in general. So this scene was very rough for me. She stands up, so she just vomited in the toilet, and he takes her hand, which is covered in vomit, and he starts, like, licking the puke from her hand. Yep. And as this is happening, she starts dribbling puke out of her mouth, and then he goes over and starts, like, kissing her mouth and slurping up the vomit. And after this happens, she slumps down on the ground, and Kikuchi's like, you had an orgasm, didn't you?
Yeah.
Ugh. No. This film has been reasonably restrained until this moment as well.
But then from here on, it's like a full-on fever dream. A sexy fever dream.
Yeah. I mean, vomit, yeah. I also found this interesting as well. Sato talks about this scene in the interview. He said that he really wanted to make a film about dieting and bulimia in the past, but never got the chance to do it. So that's why he included this character in it. And he says, bulimia is depressing if it were done realistically, so I deformed it to some extent. So normally vomit would be seen as gross, but the director, on the contrary, sees it as beautiful. It's not a matter of logic, but of emotion. So I guess this director has an emotional connection to vomit. But yeah, as you said, things go fucking nuts now. So after this vomit moment, we cut to Asuka. She's dressed in this kind of stripper outfit with tassels on her nipples and a tiara as well.
Yeah, she's got a tiara.
Not the only tiara in this film. And Sugisaki is filming her, the camera guy, and she's making out with the camera and feeling him up as she's making out with the camera. But then... pushes the camera aside.
Oh, this fucking scene, man. I could not believe that they did this. And I know that this thing has appeared thematically in Sato's films a few times.
He loves this.
But I don't think I've ever seen it in real life.
Right.
Like, I don't think I've actually... So she pushes the camera aside and we get an extreme close-up of the cameraman's eyeball. Which she proceeds to lick. She starts licking his eyeball.
So his eye has kind of become the camera at this point, right? She's like licking that eyeball.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I didn't expect I would be as grossed out by this as I was.
It's pretty intense.
It is. But I don't know. There's so many, and obviously I know it's that the other stuff is fake, but there's so many films like with eyeball torture and shit, like the guinea pig films,
but this is real.
But this is real.
This is a real eyeball licking,
and there was something so disgusting about it, and it's like she's like rubbing her tongue against the eye, and the eye is just there, just like fucking bulging out of his head,
hating every moment of it.
It was grim. Eyeball licking is not.
Don't do that.
Right?
Yeah. Don't do an eyeball.
Don't lick an eyeball.
Don't lick an eyeball, mate.
Not for me.
We've learned... Last episode we learned, don't fuck a dog. This episode we learned, don't lick an eyeball.
We're an educational podcast.
Very much so. We should put this in the educational category instead of whatever it's in now. Film and entertainment. And then when they move into actually having sex, the cameraman and Asuka, it's very weird, and it's very focused on him looking at her. So the whole time she's like, look at me! She's doing it. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Kenichi and Yukiko are fucking, and Kikuchi, the director, is very disturbingly having sex with Ai. I found this very uncomfortable to watch.
She looks very young.
Yeah. And he's a gross older, not that old, but he's like, it's just gross. It's very gross. And then, just to cap this all up, so everyone's fucking except the son, Hugo, who is downstairs, walks over to the window, looks out, and then starts rubbing his boner while the sounds of his family fucking surround him. Man, that's not right, is it? Hugo's got some issues, hasn't he? It's not right. And then we cut to Yuriko, the chainsaw girl, just at the ocean at nighttime, right? And just swinging her chainsaw around, Leatherface style, screaming at the ocean.
Oh, man.
Fucking amazing. What a great sequence.
Scene. What a sequence. Though, like, I mean, despite all the insanity that we just saw, thanks to the amazing soundtrack, which is really dreamlike, it feels like you're watching something from afar. You're like witnessing something from afar, and it never feels like you're getting too up close and personal. And it kind of feels like this weird, like, fever dream.
Yeah, it flows together very nicely, right? Yeah. But we feel kind of separate from it as well.
And everything that happens, despite it being absolutely fucked, is accepted as normal. As, by all the characters. So I kind of started accepting all these bizarre things as normal. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, now Asuka's wearing, like, underwear, in front of her dad while she presents a TV show about a kidnapped mum, and the son is sniffing pants and shit. And it's like, everything is fucked, but the way that it's, like, edited together, and thanks to the amazing soundtrack, it just feels like you're watching a surreal dream. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking great. So then, the next morning, post fuckfest.
Ooh, I bet that house smelled pretty bad after that.
Gross. Oh, gross. So the phone rings, everyone gathers around, Hyuga answers this time, and Kazuhiko is on the line demanding that they have a birthday party for Minako, the mother. Minako's listening in, she's all dressed up for the event with a tiara on.
She looks great. She's like bloody Queen Elizabeth or something.
But Hyuga starts talking back, and he's kind of like winding up Kazuhiko. And Kazuhiko starts to get scared at the seriousness of this situation. And you can also see that he's like very attached to Minako at this point.
Yeah.
And Minako's trying to calm him down. Kazuhiko just wants to live with Minako at this point, but she wants to go back to being a housewife and just wants to go back to her normal life. And he sort of pushes her off screen.
I like the way this kind of interaction played out, because he's really stressed out and he's like, come on, let's run away together, come on, it'll be fine, I can look after you, I'll love you, I'll worship you. And she's now had enough, and she's played the kidnap game and had a little like fun with this younger man, but she's like, don't be silly, I'm married,
like, back to my normal
I have to
life.
go now. Like,
it's just been a fantasy for this
and it has for her. It's just been a bit of fun,
but he wants to get married to her.
He does.
We also see like the chainsaw girl Yuriko is watching this whole scene play out from outside the window, so she's just sort of there in the background for all of this. So then the family is preparing for Minako's birthday. Everyone is delighted except Hyuga, the son, who is watching all this madness around him, where his dad's like still fucking Yukiko.
She's still there.
And Asuka and the director are being all weird. Like he's the only one that's kind of aware of how mad this situation is.
Yeah.
So as he's watching his dad making out with Yukiko, who, as a reminder, he fucked earlier in the film, which is quite weird.
That would be very fun, would it?
He takes out a kitchen knife and tries to stab his father, but the father puts Yukiko in front of him.
Yeah.
What a cunt. Yeah. And he stabs her, then stabs the father. And I love this, like, as she's dying, she grabs the dad's dick, the crotch, and she's like, I want penis! Hyuga, one by one, just stabs all of the family members. Just one by one, he's stabbing them. And you might think, why am I saying this like so casually and quickly? Because it's all a dream. It's just
another fantasy.
It's a fantasy scene. He comes out of it. He didn't actually stab anyone. He just stabbed a fucking cake
watermelon.
Oh yeah, watermelon. That's right. So then the party starts. The family singing "Happy Birthday" to the camera because, of course, the film crew is still filming this for their sleazy TV show. Kenichi announces. I don't know why I find this so funny, but he announces that Yukiko will continue living here, helping out with the housework, even when Minako returns.
Oh, that's insane.
And while this is all happening, all this like sort of happy nonsense, Hyuga's sort of talking to himself of like, no one really cares about my mum. There's another phone call. Hyuga takes it again. Kazuhiko is now claiming that him and Minako are going to start a new family. But we cut over to where he's talking from, and Minako is tied up and gagged to a chair. So he's fucking lost the plot.
He's gone off the rails.
She manages to break free, though, and smashes Kazuhiko over the head with a word processor, a typewriter or
maybe, yeah.
Something like that. And I love this as well. The chainsaw girl, Yuriko, she's been like watching this whole thing, so she's still by the window. She sees this happen and just smiles and leaves. So then we cut back to the TV show, The Wanted. But now there's a new host. So the youngest daughter, the teenage daughter, the bulimic one, she's now the host.
Yeah.
Still got the same commentators, though.
Was there any explanation as
I guess
to
it's
why
just
they
like
changed?
the director has taken a liking to her.
Right.
So I guess he's just replaced Asuka with her. And we're watching the program of Minako returning home to the family.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, it's so good, right? Like all this like cheesy kind of footage of them having a birthday party. And Minako's being interviewed saying that she was blindfolded the whole time. She couldn't see the faces of the criminals. And she didn't know where she was being held either. And the commentators, all these piece of shit commentators, they're all like very emotional about this reunion. And Sagawa, the fucking cannibal, in particular, is like getting all teary-eyed talking about how peaceful Japan is, which I just, fuck, imagine, God, he's got a cannibal to talk about like how isn't that, it's fucking insane.
It's fucked. It's beautiful casting.
It's amazing. I always have wondered what his relationship to Sagawa is. Because he's not only in this film. I would love to know how they ended up knowing each other. And what he actually thinks of Sagawa as well.
But I did love that reunion footage because we've seen so much fucked up stuff. The kind of essentially behind the scenes of the TV show.
Yeah, we're now seeing this false version of it.
And it is.
Yeah.
And it's of the mum like running towards her family, like, everyone, I'm back home. And they're all like cheering her on, and they all like run together towards her in unison and like cheer and clap. But it's all just fucking fake bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Oh, it's so good. And after all this, Minako and Hyuga in the living room together, right? And Hyuga's got these fresh roses out for her. And he comments about how his mum, Minako, is looking much younger now. Then Minako pricks her finger on one of the roses, and Hyuga comes over and sucks on her finger.
Don't suck on your mum's finger.
I loved Sato's comment about this, because they ask him, like, what's up with the incestuous mother-son thing, and his comment is, I have the feeling that mother and son relationships in Japan is actually like this. So this is how he sort of sees the mother and son relationship in Japan, in this kind of incestuous kind of way.
I heard a statistic, and you know you can like
where's this going?
How many sons fuck their mums? No, you can see by country what genre of porn is popular.
Yeah.
And incest in Japan is really high.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, he's maybe right.
I think it may have even been number one.
Wow. I love those stats, because it's like, why is everyone here into this?
Yeah.
You know, like, where does that come from?
Sure.
Weird. Kenichi and Yukiko are still together. I don't know where they're supposed to be, but they're in some ridiculous fucking room, like colorful room, just dancing about, having fun. I don't know if they've just moved in together or something. Yeah. And Asuka has now become a weather woman. and she's like doing a forecast, and Sugisaki is filming her and still just saying like beautiful, beautiful. I realized at this scene, I didn't go back to rewatch it again, is the only word that he says in this beautiful?
I think so.
Yeah, so this cameraman, that's all he says as he films her is beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we see Ai, who is having a meeting with Kikuchi, the director. She comments about how the chainsaw girl hasn't been caught yet. Kikuchi asks her, have you ever wanted to kill your family? To which she says, I was too busy eating all the time.
That's a great answer.
And then she's like, I was too busy eating all the time to think about that. But now I'm all grown up. And that's sort of her answer to it.
But that doesn't answer the question.
It's quite interesting. And then we're back to Minako and Hyuga. And Minako's watching her son as he drinks tea. They go over to the curtain, stand by the window, and they both look out together. Quite a romantic mother and son shot. Then back to the beach at night, and our final scene is the chainsaw girl looking out to the ocean, and Kazuhiko, the fake kidnapper, comes over, and they just have this sort of banal conversation together, and the conversation is sort of drowned out by the sound of the waves. And that's the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, by that point, I was just like, oh, he's going to fuck his mum.
Yeah, it was...
And I was like, I was ready to see that. Like, I thought, I'd seen so much shit.
You're like, all right,
I thought,
here we go.
And it was funny because there's so much stuff in this film which is absolutely insane, but is kind of taken on as just normal, standard behavior. That by the time he was ready to fuck his mum, I was just like expecting it to happen, as if that's the kind of obvious thing to happen. I feel like this film is amazing because it tricks you into feeling some sort of normality whilst watching something which is absolutely insane and so far from normal. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't fuck his mum,
Yeah.
but I thought he was gonna.
It really takes you for a ride and
Yeah.
pulls the rug out many, many times, this film. But yeah, like that is kind of why I chose this film. So it's very clearly a Sato film. Like it's got a lot of the things that he loves, like the filming stuff, the eyeball licking, like all that sort of stuff. But it's also quite tonally different from, I think, anything else I've seen by him. In the pamphlet, they compare it to like a black comedy from Buñuel or Almodovar or something like that. And it is kind of closer to that, where it's like this strange black comedy satire with these really fucked up moments. I agree with what you said earlier in the podcast as well. Like, I mentioned this is his 50th film, and it's got all these cameos. It's got all these layers to it. I think that, like you said earlier, I think he's put a lot into this. And I feel like of all his films, this maybe has the most to say, or he wants to tell so much with this film, which is, I think, what makes it so interesting. And yeah, he talks a lot in the interview in that pamphlet about his interests and, the kind of things that he wanted to explore. He says, I have felt since my debut, like his debut film, that human emotions and senses have become distorted as things become more rationalized. So basically, he says, when you are young, you feel a kind of reaction to the world and to yourself, to your own body. And then as you get older, the enemy becomes harder to see and you kind of accept things, which I think is what this film is, right? Yeah, with this film, he wanted to explore these themes by depicting like the modern Japanese family and the confines of society. I really love the way he unpacks all of that. It's not like he's really saying anything in particular, but he's just exploring it. Yeah, fuck. It's a fucking crazy film.
It is
it's amazing.
Film. It's a great film.
Yeah, really I really love this film.
This is, I mean, it's not a very good comparison, but did you ever see that movie Mother? With,
yes,
Jennifer Lawrence?
Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
I watched it. I didn't really like it, but I could see what it was trying to do, but I felt like it didn't achieve what it was trying to do, which was kind of convey this sense of insanity and madness, which is kind of depicted as normal by all the characters involved, but, apart from the Jennifer Lawrence character. And I feel like this kind of did a similar thing, where everything unfolding on screen was so insane, but accept it as normal. And it worked here.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't work in Mother. And even though, you know, it's a loose comparison, but here it absolutely nailed it.
I think that's quite an apt comparison, actually. Like, I have complex feelings about that film. That's
Right.
the Aronofsky film, right? I think he just is, like, so... I do kind of respect that film in some ways. Like, I think it does some things really well. But with Aronofsky, he's so fucking heavy-handed.
Right.
It becomes kind of comical to me, whereas this film is not heavy-handed. This is, like, quite a light approach to those themes, and maybe that's why it works better, because it really, you know, it goes along with the insanity.
It does.
And it works.
And it does, because you're watching it, and whilst you're watching it, and at least for me, you know, I kind of just accepted everything as normal because that's what the characters are doing, that I didn't really realize I was watching anything that fucked.
Yeah.
But then thinking back to what I just witnessed, I was like, wow, this film was, this was insane, but I didn't feel like it was insane when I was watching it, which I think is the genius of it.
Yeah, I really do love this film. It's one of my favorites from him, for sure.
Yeah. And I have probably seen about an even number of Pink films and non-Pink films by him now. And I think this kind of cemented my thought that I like his non-Pink efforts more than his Pink films. This was a knockout film.
I think of his like non-Pink films, if you can put it in that category, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, I think you can.
It basically is, yeah. I think this is the best of his non-Pink stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
I like the way even though, you know, there was the surrounding story, every single character had their own, like, weird dynamic. So there was all these, like, strange pockets of weird, like, subplots that we kind of just, like, ventured down, whether it be, like, the sun liking flowers and fucking a widow, and, like, the weird BDSM fetish bulimia story.
Chicken up the bum.
There was... even though the chainsaw girl was the surrounding story, it felt more like the kidnapping was the surrounding story, and then we went into each of the pockets of the own characters.
Definitely, yeah.
There was not, like, a single dull moment.
Love it.
Love it.
Wrong-ometer. So, how wrong the film is, how fucked up it is, how much it shouldn't exist. I think for this one, I think, like you said, it maybe tricks you into thinking it's not that fucked up. But when you actually step back and look at it with a bit of distance, it is very fucked.
Sure.
And it has moments that are absolutely disgusting. Like the vomit, the eyeball licking. I think I'm gonna go for a 7 for this one. How about you?
I'm going to go for a 6. As a film itself, I fucking loved it. And I rank it like a 9 or a 10 as a film. Wrong-ometer, I think it did what it came to do. It was a great film. There's some fucked up stuff. For me personally, like the vomit thing, the vomit doesn't gross me out too much. I've seen a lot worse. The eyeball one was grim.
That's full on.
That was full on.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was more like the thing that was wrong was just everyone going nuts, but just us, the viewer, accepting it as normal. And the fact that I didn't even question the fact that it was going nuts. I felt like, you know, I felt like I've been lured into some weird, like, alternative reality where insanity is just reality. It was brilliant.
Love it.
6 for me. But as a film, a 9.
I'd say a 10 for me. This is one of my favorites.
That's a sexy rating. You're going to have to give me that pamphlet and I'll write a few more sentences about the mum's boobs.
And also, before we get into what we've got coming up next, next week, we might have a mini related to Sato very directly.
Very directly.
So keep an eye on that next week. Some more Sato stuff coming at you.
The third appearance.
Yeah. So what do we have for the next episode, though? Our next main episode?
All right. Let's venture away from Japan for a wee slice.
We've been there for a while now.
Yeah. Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go somewhere else. Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
It's either one or the other, isn't
It's
it?
like Japan or Hong Kong.
And next time we'll be covering bloody buns.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to that one. Can't wait.
It's not great.
Oh, it's not great? Oh, fucking hell.
Bloody buns, everyone.
Bloody buns.
Get involved.
Get those bloody buns ready to go. And as always, please follow us on Twitter at SMSW Podcast. And if you want, you can send us an email at showmesomethingwrong@gmail.com. Don't ask for dog and aunt. Remember, we don't have it.
Come on, guys. It's 2024.
What does that mean?
No, that's last year's episode.
Yeah, come on.
Leave it in the past, man.
2024. Fuck
It's
off.
last
Dog
year's.
and aunt. Old news, mate. Old news.
Bloody buns.
So